myself, I'm Peggy Lauer. I'm the Director of Sustainability at Maryville University. We have collaborated with Town and Country's Green Team for approximately 4 years on various events that we've held and helped build the Town and Country Organic Community Garden, and have worked with Dirk and the rest of the team numerous times. And so it's a pleasure to offer space to hear such an important speaker, and we welcome you to Maryville University, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Peggy. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Greens Speaker Series, and thank you for being here. The series is sponsored by the Green Team Commission of the City, Town, and Country. Tonight, our guest is Aviram Rozin, and his topic is Sadhana Forest. And now Margie Hamlin is going to introduce Aviram.
Oh, it is so good to see you all here tonight. This is really a very special treat for all of us. And I'm going to start off by saying that I've been reading something lately that there are, maybe you know this, there are over 1 million individuals, groups of people, NGOs, foundations, who are all together looking forward to making our planet a better place for all of its inhabitants. Well, tonight we're going to hear from one of the top leaders in the field of bettering our world, who has the courage, the stamina, the heart, the vision to experiment with interesting and alternative ways of living which are blessing our world. Aviram Rozin left his country, Israel, with his wife and baby daughter over 10 years ago, just to see what he could do to make life better for those who most needed help in our world. Country by country by country. He has achieved this with remarkable success. Now, many of you who are here tonight probably already know what he has accomplished in India, where he started Sadhana Forest, changing a barren and devastated area into 70 acres of natural forest. And actually, that's 170 different species of trees. And raising the water level 6 meters. Now that's 20 feet. Then he went to Haiti, where the victims of the earthquake in 2010 needed his skill and selfless expertise in planting food forests. And now another project is underway in Africa, where the Samburu tribe in Kenya is learning how trees can change their lives from pastoral or nomadic lives to agricultural. Aviram just arrived here last night, and he came from Nairobi, where many other, or some other, NGO leaders have been meeting with the president of Kenya. I hope he's going to be telling us something about that meeting here tonight. What makes Aviram and his achievements so remarkable? One, he has created one of the largest residential NGOs in the world. Two, everything he has accomplished has been done by volunteers. Nobody, including his family, has ever taken a salary. Welcome. Three, over 1,000 volunteers each year from all over the world have joined Sadhana Forest to be part of the selfless contribution to the betterment of the poorest segment of society. And these volunteers have come from 50 different countries. Our granddaughter heard of this experiment, and she went to India and was so awed by what she saw and experienced, and what she thought would be maybe 2 weeks, and she's now stayed on for more than a year, thus inspiring her whole family to feel part of this extended global family. It's an honor for us and a great blessing. Aviram Rozin is living proof that nothing is impossible. The world has witnessed that the devotion of thought to a selfless project makes an achievement possible. We need hundreds of Avirams in this world, and we are very privileged to have this one in our midst tonight. Tell us how you've done it, Aviram.
Well, this is building a lot of expectations. Thank you very much for your warm words, and thank you everybody for welcoming me here. I feel very much at home. And thank you for all the people that have put up this chain, like Amanda and Lark and family and the Hamlin family and Jim and everybody that has made this thing happen. So I'll start telling you the story of Sadhana Forest and how it started, and we would go for about 2 hours with question and answers, but at 8 o'clock you can opt out if you like. If you need to go, you can go at 8 o'clock, we'll do a little stop, or you can go at 10 of course, but at 8 we'll do a little intermission and you can. In 2003, my wife Eureka and I and our daughter, who was then 3 years old, started Sadhana Forest in Oroville in Tamil Nadu. And the idea was to do reforestation, indigenous reforestation, to plant a tropical dry evergreen forest, which is the forest of our area. And we just moved into a barren land and lived in a very small hut. Alone, there are 3 people, and wanted to do reforestation very, very slowly in our area. We never imagined that we would become an organization or anything like that. That was not the idea. But then volunteers started to come. After 5 days, somebody showed up and said, "You know, I heard you're starting a new community in Oroville. Would you accept us to help you? Would you accept them to help you?" And we said yes, and then the next day 5 people came. And soon enough we're 30 people working together, starting the reforestation effort. We knew very little about reforestation at that time. This is not our original profession or anything, and we learned everything on the land by doing things and observing. And we have some disadvantages as new foresters. It's not our profession, but sometimes ignorance is bliss. And you know, the fact that we don't know a lot enabled us to be very open to the knowledge of other people, to try many things that other people said, you know, may never work, but we tried them anyway, and sometimes they did. So that's the way we sort of evolved. If you can go to the next slide. So our vision is creating symbiosis and harmony between people and forests. And I think harmony is pretty clear why we want harmony, but symbiosis is very important because we people, our species, doesn't do anything that doesn't serve us directly. We like to serve ourselves as humans. So when people ask me, do you grow food in India? I say, yes, I grow food. I say, what do you grow? Mangoes? I grow food for animals as well, for everybody. It's not just about us. But when people don't get a direct benefit from the forest, they don't protect it. They cut it, or they let their animals graze it. So we understood that we have to create an interest in people to protect the forest we're doing. And that's one of the reasons we're concentrating on food forestry. It serves the need of the people for food, but it also is a built-in mechanism to protect the forest. People don't cut trees that feed them. Sometimes. Okay. So if you look at the reasons for deforestation, a lot of the reasons have to do with growing feed for animals. As you know, we are eating more and more meat and consuming more and more milk, and that's the reason why we're clearing the forest, in order to grow soya, in order to feed the animals, so we have more animal feed. Next. This is the desertification vulnerability map, and you can see that the Sahara here in Africa, for instance, is pushing down all the time, moving down. It's been here, and now it's here, and it's going down, and eventually it will remove all the forests of Africa. So this is a process that has been going on and is very steady. The movement of this red line downwards, okay, and this one upward. So this is the main hut of Sadhana Forest, all built from local and natural materials, like all our structures. We have 43 huts in Sadhana Forest, India, and they're all made from local and natural materials. Next. These are our volunteers sitting in the main hut. It's the cultural center, but it's also where we have the meals, and we do all the community activities. Our kitchen, which is vegan and organic. These are rocket stoves which burn very little wood. They have this skirt which concentrates reflects all the heat into the pot. The pot sits down to here, and they're very, very effective in terms of wood combustion. They reduce wood consumption by 90% compared to an open fire, and by 30% compared to a village cooker. This is our solar system. We're totally off the grid in India, in Kenya, and in Haiti. This is our human-powered generator, where we use one of the main resources that we have, young, energetic people. This is the vegetation as it looks now. This is a good picture because it shows you how the land was when Yurit and I came to the land 10 years ago. This we left intact because it's a path, and this is the vegetation as it looks today. Actually, today it's about 3 meters higher, but this is a bit of an old picture. Yeah. So you can see there are many, many levels of vegetation. This is called swaling. It's a swale. It's a water conservation measure that we take. We take the soil from here, put it here, and eventually it becomes, this is the slope, direction of the slope, and the hump becomes very, very lush, because it's non-compacted soil, becomes very lush. You can see in the next picture, yeah? You can see how lush it has become. This picture was taken about 4 months after this was dug. This one was dug, and there was rain, and you can see what has happened in a few months. And here we plant grasses in order to protect it from erosion. And this is a system that breathes in water in the monsoon time, and then sort of exhales it into the soil and makes the soil very, very fertile downstream. Okay? Next. This is another system of water conservation. It's a catchment pond. So here we've done a bund or an earth dam that is very compact. So the soil doesn't take the water in, like in the swale, but percolates it into the ground, and we disturb the non-permeable layers, so there's a lot of percolation into the soil. This is a gabion. It's a way to stop water flowing in a riverbed, in a small riverbed. So we've done this one with a very, very low budget. Actually, with students from America that came through Living Roots, they have built this. So we designed from old metal 2 walls, and then filled them with local stones from the river. This costs about 10% of what it would cost to build this masonry, from stones and cement. We try to always use the most cost-effective method of doing things. Because we're a very poor organization, but also because we work with people that don't have the means to build sophisticated stuff. So we have to all the time develop very, very cheap methods of doing things. So these are that our volunteers dig, and our volunteers come from very diverse backgrounds. She's actually a very senior marketing manager from Paris, here digging soil, and people discovered that they can do something very practical for the world working with us, and I think that's one of the reasons that so many people come to work with us, is that it's very practical work for nature and for people. An earth dam. This is the nursery. This is our method of planting. So over the past 10 years, we've evolved another method of planting, which is different from the traditional one. You probably all planted a tree one time in your life, and you've dug a pit and put some compost and soil mix inside and planted the tree, right? So we do something different. Why? Because sometimes in very dry areas, as you go deeper, let's say you go 1 foot deeper than the soil level, the soil becomes very, very compact. And then if you dig a hole, you dig a pit, and you put the tree in, the tree is too young, the seedling is too young to penetrate the soil with the root, the compact soil, and then survival rate is very small. So you'd find projects that have 40 or 50% survival rate, or even less than that. But if you plant a tree above ground, by the time it reaches the compact layer, the roots would be strong enough to penetrate, and then the survival rate jumps to 80–90% or more. And that has been our experience in India, in Haiti, and in Kenya, that survival rate is very high using this method. By the way, nature never digs. I mean, forest propagates naturally without any digging. Nature always augments, right? Always adds. Like leaves fall from a tree, they decompose, more leaves fall, then the ones below decompose anaerobically, and so on and so forth. And then topsoil is created. All this is done without digging. So minimizing the digging is mimicking nature, as well as it's much more cost-effective and brings better results. This is the wick irrigation valve. I actually brought one with me. This is our secret weapon. Oops. It looks like a Molotov bottle, but we're not violent in any way. This is just for irrigation. So we fill this with water, and then we can control the amount of water coming out of it by opening and closing the cap. Okay? Why? Because when we open the cap, air comes in and displaces the water, and then the water flows through the wick. If we close the cap completely, it wouldn't flow. Okay? And if we open just a little bit, there will be a slow flow of water. And all this is underground. Yeah, this is under the soil. The soil will come to here. So the tree would be planted above this, okay, here. And the tree would get the water directly to the roots, which makes a lot of sense when you think of it. When you drink water, you don't drink like this, right? You drink like this. Because the mouth is where the water is most useful for you. And the same thing with the tree. The tree needs the water in the roots. It doesn't need it on its head. And when you water it from above, then there's a lot of evaporation. And when there's a lot of evaporation, there's a lot of salination. Because the salt stays, but the water evaporates. Right? So we want to... Great. No, that was good. That was great. This is the system that we have evolved. We took the idea of wick irrigation that existed before, tweaked it a little bit to suit our needs, and eventually we ended up with this bottle, which we produced in the thousands. and use it for planting, and it really works. This bottle is a 2-liter bottle, yeah, 2 liters. So if we open just a little twist, we give around 50 ml per day. So 50 ml per day times 40 would give us the 2 liters. So this would last for 40 days. Yes? And this makes a huge difference when you're talking about dry areas, because some people have to walk 4 or 5 or more kilometers to get water, and it's heavy for them. And so we could make their life much easier by using this. We also encourage people to use wastewater for trees, not to use fresh water. Like in Kenya, we asked the Samburu people that we planted with, please give the dishwashing water or the laundry water to the trees. Don't use fresh water because it's very difficult for you to carry it, and the plants actually don't need it. They can use the wastewater. Okay. So I'll show you how we plant a tree inside the forest. It's very simple. We dig a small trench, about 1.5 meters or 5 feet diameter, around a pipe, a borewell pipe which we put in the center. And then we create a sort of a volcano, like this. Okay? Then we fill the pipe with water. What happens when we fill the pipe with water is that the soil underneath becomes very, very wet, inoculated with water, and then it's very ready for the tree when we introduce it. So we fill it up with water, the water goes down, we fill again, goes down, and it's very directional. Because of the pipe, the water cannot go just anywhere, because the soil here is very, very dry, so the water would want to go everywhere. But we don't allow it, we allow it just to go below the place where we are planting the tree. Then we plant our bottle first. And you see this line and this line? They mark, if I turn this, it would say where 50 ml are given. Okay? This is the point to which I should open the cap in order to give exactly 50 ml, and this would last for 40 days. Okay? Then we plant the tree just above the rope. And then we put the soil and compost. And then we pull out the pipe and we use it again and again and again. This pipe is very strong, very expensive. We can use it many, many thousands of times. And this is the result. We have a tree and we have with a private irrigation system. So if I see that the tree is a bit, tired and dry, I can open the cap a little bit and give it a shot, and then it wakes up. Or if I see that it's doing very well, and actually it's maybe overwatered or watered enough, I can just close the cap and then I save the water. Okay, so I can adjust it for every tree. And you can go in one morning, you can walk along a few hundred trees and just do it. It takes just a minute. Just bend down and open and close according to the situation of the tree. So the use of the water is optimal. Okay? We produce all our plant food, all our fertilizer from leaves that we grow inside the forest, and we put them in the blender, and we make a sort of a chutney for our trees, a nitrogen-rich chutney. And then we use neem leaves in order to create a pesticide for our trees. We have a tree care team, volunteers that go between the trees and see if any tree is suffering, and they just spray it with natural fertilizer. Am I in the way? You good? Okay. This is Sadhana Forest Children's Land. It's a project in which we work with 300 Tamil children that are coming to Children's Land and are connecting with nature, but in their own way. They can initiate project. It's not something very rigid. We tell them this is what you have to learn or something like this, but we let them the space to experiment with nature and to learn about nature. So these are the kids. This is the 3rd birthday of Sadhana Forest, and some of these kids come from a gypsy community in Pondicherry, from a very poor community, And they're very happy when they have a chance to just be in nature in a clean and beautiful place, and to feel free to initiate. So here they are planting trees. This is banyan, by the way, and watering. And okay, this is central India. We work generally here in Tamil Nadu, but this is Madhya Pradesh, center of India. And here we've done a few projects. One is in a place called Omkareshwar, an island on the Narmada River, where we have trained people in water conservation, and have also planted 10 acres of forest. So we've done the swales. You can see the contour lines, which are marked here. And you can see how much the vegetation has grown. This is the first tree that we've planted, the peepal tree, we planted with the kids of this school that you can see behind, and they were so excited and so happy to plant the trees, and it went really, really very well. And now it's a beautiful forest there. This is training for people who work in the forest department on water conservation and innovative methods in tree planting. And this is what we do with a singer called Prahlad Singh Tipania, who helps us make the ideas of water conservation more popular. He's a very popular man. He won the Padma Shri, which is a very high civil award in India. And with him together we do a project in which we explain to people about water conservation and do actual work on the land. So this is the village of Lunia Kedi, where he lives in Madhya Pradesh. You can see the soil. It's a very challenging environment for trees. This is just hanging out with the kids of Lunia Kedi, but so you can see how challenging the environment is. For me, it's always very important to connect with the children of the place, because they're the ones that will be able to protect the trees. Right. If you didn't get this connection with the children and you're doing reforestation, your project is pretty doomed. In a few years, they become the and if they don't understand why this is happening, they won't protect it. Okay, we'll skip the video because we don't have, I think, enough time. So this is an area where there was an attempt to do a dam before, which didn't work out. And then in the next picture, you will see, this is the dam that we've built. It's 250-meter long earth dam that holds a few dozens of thousands of cubic meters, and it's working really, really well. All the water that comes here down slope is stopping here, flooding this area and percolating here in the center, and feeds the wells that are just below. You can see the houses of the village below the dam, and this feeds, recharges the well of the village. And we're going to continue that project very, very soon. Okay, so in 2010, there was the earthquake in Haiti, 12th of January 2010. I think many people in the world were deeply moved by what happened. So many people, 200,000 people killed in a few minutes. I think, except of very tragical war incidents, this has never happened for many centuries. That so many people have been killed in such a short time, with such a devastating effect on the lives of millions. And a friend of mine, his name is Steve Whitman from New Hampshire, wrote me an email, why don't you do something? Why don't you replicate Sadhana forest in Haiti? And I went to the long-term team, to the volunteers of Sadhana forest, the long-term volunteers, and I told them, what do you feel about going to Haiti and making another Sadhana forest? And the response of everybody was something like this. Yes! You know? And the same movement, like they almost rehearsed it. Everybody was super enthusiastic about going to Haiti. We had a few problems. We didn't know exactly where Haiti was. And, grows there, who lives there, didn't have money to go there, and a few other minor issues. But we sorted all this out, and the email actually was sent, I think, on the 26th of February, and on the 8th of April, we were there starting Sadhana Forest 80, which was a huge, huge effort done by many people, and was a very exciting moment to see how much people can care about others, that they will do all this effort. For me, it was a moment of victory for the work. And I'm sorry, could you do B for a second? So we chose this place called Ansapit. It's in the southeast of the country, just near the border with the Dominican Republic. It's a very remote place where there are no other NGOs, and a place of huge suffering. And we felt that this is the appropriate place for Sadhana Forest to go. So this is the pioneer team of Sadhana Forest 80, the people who started this. They all flew with us from India. We crossed the border on this day, I think. Yeah. We crossed the border from Dominican Republic to Haiti with $1,000 to start a reforestation project. And it was very naive in many ways, but because it was so naive, but it was well-meaning, it worked. And people supported us, and we were able to continue the work and to buy a small piece of land for our training center and to erect a nursery and a lot of infrastructure, a solar system, a water system, and to continue the work. The situation there was extremely tough when we started. But the people really gave their best, and we sort of continued. This is the authorization from the government of Haiti to do reforestation and water conservation. This is the target area of the project. So this is the southeast corner of Haiti with about 3,060 hectares, which we're targeting for our reforestation project. The town of Ansapit is here. This is the town of Pedernales on the Dominican side. You can see that this is a satellite image, and you can see that most of it is bedrock. So a lot of the plant is on bare rock, which is very, very challenging for people. We'll talk about this in a minute. Okay. So we started by doing our water conservation thing, and the first bund that we've done got rained on the same day, the same night actually. So we tested it quite well. We did circle gardens. This is a way to grow food very fast on very bad soil. So you put some manure and leaves soaked in nitrogen. This could be from urine. And basically you create fertility of soil here, and all the plants are planted around, not in the center. So all the roots go into the center of this circle garden. And you can see it becomes very lush around, and the plants just grow. So this, don't go forward. This is the place where another organization gave us a small piece of land when we started, before we bought our own piece of land. And you can see this is the situation on 8th of April 2010, the day we crossed into Haiti. Okay? We did a little bit of water conservation here, like we did in India, and the next slide will be 60 days later. On the 8th of June, the picture was taken exactly from the same spot. So you can go now. Wow. Yeah? Just water conservation. Nothing was done in terms of planting. Okay? Now, the next picture was taken a year and a half later, exactly from the same spot, but look at the tent. Yeah, remember this stain? It's still there in the next picture, okay?
Oh my gosh.
Okay? So this is our power. The ability to transform pieces of land with relatively very little work, but using effective techniques and bringing the land to its maximum fertility and production. This is a method we use called seed clay balls, in which we take the seeds, clay, and compost, mix them together, make balls, dry them in the sun, and go and throw them on the land. It's lazy man's reforestation. So instead of digging and this and pipes and wicks and all this, you just go, throw the balls, wait for the rain. The rain comes, cracks the clay, and eventually the seed germinates and you have a tree. Of course, germination rate and survival rate are lower, but the effort is also so much lower, then it's very, very effective and cost effective as well. You can see the next slide, you can see the ball, and the rain came, the clay absorbed the water, and it cracked open, it's germinating now. So this is the terrain, okay? It's a piece of bedrock, most of it, and you have to be creative about how to handle this, because it's not classical area for forestry. So what we can do is put some soil and throw a ball inside, and you can see in the next slide, it's coming out, yeah? And eventually it grows, it cracks the bedrock, and you can see where it would crack here. So this is where water was entering, right? So the point would crack here, the trunk would be bigger, all this would be covered with leaves that fall from the tree,
Right.
and eventually there'll be a topsoil buildup, and you won't see the rock. If you come to Southern Forest Iki now, and you're most welcome, of course, it's not so far from here, you would see that you don't see that rock. It's all soil. But if you take a stick and do this, you'll hit the rock pretty soon. So it just built another layer. Another method that we have employed was using a helicopter to disperse seeds. So we used the fact that the UN, the United Nations, was flying a lot at that time between Port-au-Prince and Ansapit, our town, and we tagged along to their helicopter and spread the seeds, and this also had quite good results. Of course, lower germination rate, but effort almost zero. So it was a good experiment. So our team. This is Professor Eric Verrecchia, who discovered a phenomenon called oxalogenesis. Oxalogenesis is where trees can take carbon from the air, atmospheric carbon, and turn it into calcium carbonate, into a limestone in the soil. So the carbon cannot be released back into the atmosphere. This is very important because when you plant trees, they of course absorb carbon, atmospheric carbon. When you cut them or burn them, the carbon is released back into the atmosphere and you haven't done much. And that happens to trees a lot, that they're cut and burned for charcoal and all kinds of other reasons. So the fact that these specific species can store carbon in the soil permanently is very important. Thanks. So this is one of the trees that does this. This is the Mayan nut.
Wow.
I don't use a wig. So the Mayan nut, it's called Prosimum alicastrum, is a tree that is oxalogenic, produces a huge amount of food as seeds, and is indigenous to the Caribbean. You can see This is all food produced from Mayanat. Yeah. This is our nursery inside the forest, Haiti. It's a raised bed nursery. We don't use plastic bags because they're very polluting, and transporting seedlings in plastic bags is extremely expensive. You have to carry all the soil from the nursery. You just want the tree, but you have to carry all the soil, which weighs many tons when you're talking about large-scale planting, and that doesn't make much sense financially. So what we do is raise beds. We introduce the That's good. We introduce the seeds into the bed and eventually harvest bare-rooted plants and then plant them directly in the soil. These are the seeds of the Mayanat that came from Mexico, introduced in the soil. Germination came, and you can see the nursery full of Mayanat, and eventually 55,000 Mayanat. This was in June 2011. And you can see how big they are, and their leaves are so healthy and shiny. This is a friend, his name is Albert, who helps us plant many of the trees. His organization has 200 local volunteers who work together with us to plant the trees. And this is training of local people. We always start any effort with training, because people have to understand and to know exactly what they're doing in order to reach the results. Yeah, I like this picture because it symbolizes the partnership of Sadhana Forest with the local people. So, after the trees have grown, we extract them from the nursery. And how do we do this? We do this sideways. We don't pull the plant up from the raised bed, because if you do that, you tear the brittle taproot, right? So what we do is we flood the bed a night before we extract the seedlings, flood it completely, submerged in water, and then we pull them sideways. Okay? We remove the soil and put them sideways, and then there's no pressure on the root, and one of every 100 at the most would be harmed. Still could be planted, but it would be the roots would be truncated. Otherwise, it's all good. You can see the seedlings are put like this. We remove the leaves and leave only 2 leaves. They're put on a piece of newspaper. We add some soil, so they will feel good. They will not feel sharp. And then we just pack them and they're ready to go. On one motorcycle, I can carry 1,500 plants. Yeah? Instead of taking a lorry. We can carry 1,500 plants. If we want to keep them for very long, we put it in a sock. And dip the sock in water, and then they could keep for 48 hours. So you could basically drive from here, if you had the nursery here, 48 hours, which is really a long way, even in America, and plant the trees there without any reduction in the survival rate. So this is the planting. A lot of kids involved. That's our style. We always like to involve the kids, as I said. This is tree guards. So some of the Haitians we work with just invented their own tree guards. From waste cloth, from fishing net. We found a fishing net on the beach. It was torn. Somebody dumped it on the shore. So we just took it and made. We always try to use local resources. What is there? Not to try to bring expensive, complicated stuff, but use whatever is available. This is clothing that is donated from America, actually, and ends up on Haitian shores. And what we do is we collect it and use it for mulching of trees. So you can see this is a Haitian tree with American clothing all around. ready to grow. So these are the trees when they have grown a little bit near the houses of the people. We plant around people's homes because the idea is that people will produce food for themselves. If you plant trees in open spaces in Haiti or in Kenya, you don't stand a chance. The pressures are so big from grazing, from charcoal industry, from timber industry, that you won't be able to keep the trees going. If you plant around the homes, you have a very big chance that people, especially people, are well informed about the benefits of the trees. And these people were very well informed about the benefits of the Maya nuts and other species that we have planted, so they will protect them. I like this one also because he looks so happy and proud of the tree. Okay, and these are the trees when they've grown a little bit more. Okay, I think I'll skip the video because we don't have enough time. We do a lot of training. We offer permaculture courses and other courses of wasteland reclamation and stuff like this, and it's all free. We never charge for any of our courses. We believe that this knowledge of how to grow your own food, how to improve the environment, is the birthright of everybody. And it should be given as a gift to anybody that wants to have it, and not sold as a commodity. And we run Sadhana Forest on gift economy, so people who think that our work is worthy and they want to help us, they help, but we don't force anyone to help by setting a price on things. This is a permaculture course in Creole, in the local language in Haiti. This is another method of irrigation that we have tried. We put a pipe into this hole in the rock, and in the bottom of the pipe there's another bottle like this, but standing like this, with some charcoal in it, and the charcoal absorbs the water, and eventually you can water from here directly to the bottom of the tree. You can see this is the Moringa oleifera, the drumstick tree. And you can see in the next picture how much it has grown in a piece of bedrock. Yeah? Now this tree is about 7 or 8 meters high. Yeah?
Wow.
And the trunk has already busted the rock, so it's growing. This is part of the permaculture course that we've done for Haitians and for foreigners as well. Actually, one of the people that participated in this course is our community liaison officer in Sadhana Forest, Haiti, Nixon, which is now, he's now in India, in Sadhana Forest, India, for 5 months with us, getting more training, and he will come back to Haiti with more knowledge and be able to support the community even more. This is training in a place called Cascade Pichon in Haiti. Next. You can see the charcoal industry. So they take a piece of forest and they just slash and burn it, and eventually it goes from being this to being this. Yeah? It's very sad. This Cascade Pichon is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in the world. But you can see the fires everywhere. It's like an image of, hell. And it's very sad. And we're trying to do some work there to reverse this tendency. You can see how barren it is. And look here, how beautiful. Yeah. These are the places that we already planted in the southeast of Haiti. This is an idea for a future project that we would like to promote in the next 1 or 2 years. And this is to take a truck and to make a mobile reforestation unit for Haiti. So instead of just being in Ansapit, our town, and having to bring people to us from other places, we would go with this truck. We would have some volunteer accommodation inside, a depot, a nursery at the top, and eventually go and plant trees and do trainings in different places in Haiti. So this is something we would like to do in Haiti. Okay, so after having the experiencing Haiti and seeing that it works and people are interested and they want to plant trees around their homes, we decided to do the third Sadhana forest in Kenya, in a place called Samburu County, in the north of Kenya, with a tribe called Samburu. Samburu have been marginalized for many, many years and are going through a very difficult transition from semi-nomadic pastoralist lifestyle to a more land-based, agricultural-based lifestyle, which is not natural for them. And we would like to offer them an option of doing this in a way that is very effective in terms of growing food, and this is to grow a food forest around their homes. So this is a map of the aridity of Kenya, and you can see this is the arid areas, and we chose a place called Kisima in Samburu to locate our project. This is the problem. You can see people are burning the forest for charcoal, carrying it to nearby towns and eventually selling it in street corners. This is foreign aid coming in, foreign aid food. A lot of the nutrition in the area is foreign aid food. You can see this is the place where the food is stored in those big storage structures. This is the common food. It's called ugali. It's a sort of a cake, if you want, from maize, from corn, and it's not very nutritious. It's filling, but it's not very nutritious. Samburus eat a lot of milk and meat and blood as well. This is their traditional food. This is with a picture with the Green Belt Movement people in Marala, in the nearby town, who are very, very interested in the project. This is with some different Samburu leaders. And these are our neighbors. So we have a lot of zebras around our land, and sometimes elephants pass by, and even lions are there very rarely. It's a pretty, wild environment. This is the kind of soil. When I think about another Sadhana forest and friends talk to me about it, they always say, you could go there, but it's too good for you. The soil is too good, you wouldn't like it. And they know that the way to attract Sadhana forest is to show us real deserts, real suffering pieces of land. So this is our land. There is a river, seasonal river flowing here, and this is the land that we established as our center. This is the
How big is that?
I'm sorry?
How big is that parcel of land?
27.4 acres,
Okay.
11 hectares. Yeah, and I'll show you in a moment pictures of it. This is some of the species that we selected. So, Afzelia africana, it's oxalogenic. You remember the trees that fix carbon as limestone in the soil, and it's also the seed flower is very nutritious. It has 16% protein, and it's also a medicinal plant against diabetes. This is the moringa, the mother's helper, which is very good to use mother's milk, production of more mother's milk, which is very important when there's high infant mortality and high premature birth rate. And other species, I won't go into all the species. We have selected 19 species that are indigenous to the area and can be supported in terms of food, and we'll plant them. Okay. This is an award that we got in 2010. It's called the Humanitarian Water and Food Award. We're very happy that we're, for the first time in 2010, internationally recognized for our work. And it was a very nice gesture, and it helped us a lot to explain the value of what we're doing and to gain, international credibility. So these are the locations: India, Haiti, and Kenya. These are the locations where we work. Thank you. So if you have questions, I would love to answer them. And later we can also see a little bit more about Kenya if you like. If you're interested in the Kenya project, I have more pictures of what's going on there now because the project is already running, training people, planting trees, so we can see a few more pictures there. Yes.
It looks like you're successful when you keep the water there. Did there used to be plants there a long time ago, and they disappeared, and that allowed the water to run off?
Exactly.
What happened to the plants before? Does anybody know?
Exactly. So I'll answer about India. In India, there was a tropical dry evergreen forest. There was a very lush forest in the area. It was cut, and then because there were no roots to hold the soil and there's no canopy to protect the soil from direct impact of the monsoon rains, the soil has been washed off. There has been severe erosion, and eventually we ended up with a mineral soil that cannot easily support plants. All the topsoil has been washed away.
What can we do for you?
You can do many things. One of them is to volunteer with us or to encourage other people to volunteer with us. We want people to volunteer with us from all walks of life. We want everyone to come, and you don't have to be very physically strong or anything like that. It's about your wish to really contribute to the project. And you can volunteer in each of these 3 locations: India, Haiti, or Kenya. You can donate to Sadhana Forest. We are in severe need of money, so that would be highly appreciated and could support our project. Especially our project in Kenya is severely underfunded, and we really need help in order to continue it, and we will feel very sad if we can't continue it because we've already put 3 years of work into making it happen. And I think the Sambor people are super happy with the project and really want it to prosper. But we're not very good fundraisers. We're much better at planting trees than raising funds. Unfortunately, because that's also something we need to do, but we're not very good at it, and we would appreciate any support in that aspect. And the third thing is just wish us well. That's also very important, that many people know about what we're doing, that they send their positive energy our way, and that's also a huge support. Yeah, that's it.
With the creep of the deserts, they were showing that map. Have you found that you have to have a certain width of a green belt to stop it? Or once it starts that march, I don't really understand that process. Why
Yeah.
does it continue?
You can see this line is from Dakar to Djibouti, and there is an international project that answers the question that you asked, and they determined that 15 kilometers is a good belt, yeah, a good green belt to stop the deserts from moving. And they want to establish what they call the Great Green Wall. I think the name is inspired by the Chinese. And hopefully it will be as successful, I don't know. But has a lot of challenges, from what I understand. I've never been involved in any way, but what I understand from reading the papers is that it has a lot of challenges in taking off on the ground.
It's my understanding that the community lives, I don't know if it's consensus or what, but can you talk a little bit about the volunteer community and the goals of how you live, not just what you're doing?
Okay. Thank you. So, our volunteers come from many, many countries, around 50 countries every year. They come for a minimum of 2 weeks, most of the year, and a few months we accept volunteers for a minimum of 1 month, for a 1 month minimum. They live together, work together, eat together 3 times a day. The environment is alcohol-free, drugs-free, smoking-free, vegan, and the food is very much wholesome and as much as possible. And I think people really enjoy it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 1,000 people coming every year. Maybe you want to say something as somebody who was in Southern Forest, or?
Yeah, I mean, to me it felt like a paradise going there. It was so tropical, and the feeling of community there, and everybody working together, and just phenomenal how they do things there and how it works, you know, how everything is conserved. It's just a beautiful environment. I mean, I can understand. I mean, my daughter, Laura, you know her, but she's there, and you know, I heard so much about Sadhana that actually going there, I really understood why she loves it there.
Yeah, I'm happy that you accept the fact that Lark is there. Yeah. Some people would feel, oh, my daughter's gone to India, what a... But you're so open-minded about it and so supportive, and I think that the community atmosphere that is created is the power of the place. That's what makes the work tick, you know? Without our volunteers, we can't do anything. It's all volunteer work. And the spirit in which things are done, the quality in which things are done, can be achieved only by volunteers. You can't do this with paid labor, ever. Because people won't give this kind of effort for a prolonged period of time, you know, being paid for it. Contrary to what we think that, you know, money makes everything work, some things you need something, another ingredient than money. And it has been beautiful for me to know thousands and thousands of people, volunteers and visitors, but also very challenging at times, because we have people from very diverse backgrounds, and there are also misunderstandings, and there are also dramas, and all this. But all in all, it's a beautiful process. But if you want to know really more about it, come and volunteer.
Well, you might describe a typical day for a typical volunteer. What time does he or she get up? How long do they work? And then how long do they get to play?
Okay. Work is play. But we start at around, depending on the season of the year, around 5:45 or 6 o'clock in the morning. We start our work. We wake up very early, 5:15, 5:30. Start our work. The first seva, we don't call it work inside the forest, we call it seva, which is selfless service. Sanskrit word for selfless service. So we start the seva, the first seva in the forest, and everybody works in the forest in the morning, except a few community chores that have to be done, like cooking breakfast and stuff. And then at 8:45, 9, we have breakfast. And after breakfast, we have the second seva. And in the second seva, we have community works like cooking, cleaning, building, composting, All these things are done in second seva, and then we have lunch at around 12:30, and from then on we're free to do whatever we want to do. I mean the volunteers. But at 6 we have dinner. So some people go out for dinner, but many people stay in the afternoon in Sadhana Forest and they interact with each other, they read, they play music, they meditate, they do yoga, they do whatever they like. We have a lot of workshops, so all the workshops in Sadhana Forest are free, so people teach you whatever they know, and it's really beautiful because you can get many thousands of dollars worth of workshops during your stay just for free from people who really want to share it with you. So that's sort of a typical day.
Once a week there's a talent show.
I'm sorry?
You have a talent show once a week.
Yeah, so our weekly schedule is that on Wednesday we have the non-talent show. It's a non-talent show. You don't have to be talented to perform, but you discover your talent or your non-talent. And so the open stage is on Wednesday night, and then on Friday we have Eco Film Club. So we have people coming in from Pondicherry, from Oroville, from the entire area. Many people come in, they get a tour of the place for like almost 2.5 hours. Now Lark is giving it weekly. And then they see a film, an environmental film, from 7 to 8:30, and then at 8:30 there's a free vegan organic dinner for everybody. And there are anything between 50 people and 500 people coming every Friday. So we have very big pots ready, and it's a great joy for me to feel that our home is open for everybody and they can have a free meal and just interact together. I think you wanted to ask something.
Can you just say one or two sentences about Oroville?
I'm sorry?
About Oroville.
About Oroville. So,
What is the purpose of Oroville?
yeah, so Oroville is in the southeast of Tamil Nadu. It's a community that has existed since 1968 and is now consisting of about 2,000 people, 2,000 members. It's a foundation under a special law in India called the Oroville Foundation Act, and it was inspired by Sri Aurobindo, a spiritual leader and thinker in India, and by his collaborator, Mira Alfasa, who is called by many people the mother, and she actually founded it in 1968. So she was about 90 at that time. And she founded this community, and it has been growing ever since. And we, my wife and I, joined Oroville in 2002, and then in 2003 we started Sadhana Forest in the end of 2003. And we've been trying to connect all our work to Oroville in many ways. So in Haiti, for instance, we're the Oroville International Liaison in Haiti. So we're trying to connect our work to Oroville. Oroville was founded with the idea of human unity, which is something that we greatly believe in and try to practice in our daily life as much as we can.
Can you describe a little more about the local community around Sadhana Forest? What do they do for a living? Are they pastoralists, agriculturists, and how they connect with your community in Sadhana?
Okay. So would you like to know about a specific location or?
No, just around Sadhana Forest in India, yes.
In India, okay. That's important. So the community around us in India is a rural Tamil community. Many people are now transitioning from being farmers to being employed, and some of them are leaving the villages and moving to towns, especially the young generation, those who have gone to school and have managed to get a job with the IT industry or one of the rising industries of India. They go to live in an urban setting. What we're trying to do is mainly work with the children to connect them with the nature, to introduce them to the forest that was there, because many people don't know that there was a forest, or they don't know what the forest looks like. So the fact that we reintroduce the tropical dry evergreen forest helps them to know about where their ancestors lived. And the interaction with the community is mainly through the children in India, whereas in Haiti and in Kenya, the interaction is mainly also through children, but mainly through adults. In India, where we live, there is no scarcity of food. People are not hungry. They have other needs, but they're not, definitely not hungry, and they're not poor in the sense that the Haitians around us and the Samburs around us are. I mean, in terms of resources.
Could you explain the construction of the irrigation bottles? Like, how do you determine the 5 milliliters that it gives off, and what's the rope made of?
Okay, you can just kind of
Oh.
just look at it and see. So the rope is a cotton rope, yeah? A simple cotton rope that you can find in every shop. And this is a small pipe, yeah? A small flexible electrical pipe that you can find in any hardware store. And here we put M-seal, like an epoxy. This is not the most natural stuff in the world, but it's very hardy and does the work. And that's it.
How do you
Basically,
determine
five-
is it 5 milliliters?
50.
Oh, 50.
How do you determine it? I mean, you can just fill it up, open a little bit, and see over 24 hours how much flow. That's the way we do it. We test them. And then you can do a mark. You just mark with a marker here and here when you reach the point of 50 milliliters. And you can play around. I mean, to be frank, it won't be exactly 50 milliliters. It will vary a little bit, but it will be, 40 or 70 or something. But it's not. It doesn't really matter exactly. It could last for roughly 40 days, sometimes 30 days. Okay. If you want to pass this around to people.
Aviram, can you tell the story of trying to board the Israeli plane with your father?
Yeah. I was in Tel Aviv and I tried to board the plane with this, and they were hesitant, I would say. They didn't know what this is. They thought it's some kind of what?
Yeah. It sort of seemed to me that 2 liters of water over 40 days was a very small amount, relatively. But is it the way it's distributed constantly that?
Or that you fill the holes
Or
in
why?
first?
Yeah. How?
It's very concentrated.
Yeah. How is that enough?
Yeah. Okay. It is a very small amount of water. It is a very small amount of water. But if you calculate, if you give 10 liters of water to the plant from above in the situation where we are, eventually it gets the same 50 ml. It doesn't get more to the roots. You see, so that's why I give the example of the shower, because if you shower and you open your mouth, yeah, you'll get some water, but it won't be as effective as drinking directly to your mouth. And that's exactly what happens to plants. And so the real amount of water that the plant needs is not more than 50 ml. I can tell you from experience of thousands and thousands of trees that have grown on 50 ml and they're doing just fine, growing very well.
Could we do that here?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You could do this anywhere, as long as you plant the bottle before you plant the tree, right? Because some people want to do it later and then they disturb the roots and that's not good. So you have to do it before.
But aren't you using drought-tolerant, kind of naturally drought-tolerant trees?
We are, but still, when they're planted, they must have some, because those trees usually germinate in the context of a forest, and there is a canopy that protects them, there's lush soil that holds water. We introduce them to an environment which is very hostile, to them. It's not the original forest environment, because that has been washed away. So we have to give them some support. Not too much because they get lazy and weak, but just a little bit of support so they survive and they gain their strength and they can do it on their own.
Aviram, my daughter Amanda Stevenson was there, and she went on to get a global perspectives degree, and she studied acculturation. I know that you're dealing with plant life and everything. How much acculturation is going on surrounding these areas?
How much? What?
Acculturation, a loss of one's culture due to lack of sustainability.
The tribes.
Okay. Huge amount. I mean, huge amount. If you look at the, for instance, the traditional healing in the villages around us in Tamil Nadu, it's almost totally lost. You don't find anymore, you find very, very old people that know something about medicinal plants. The young people, they don't know anything about it. They maybe know the neem tree or 2 or 3 others, but that's it. Out of dozens of plants that are useful in the forest, they know very little. And it's the same thing everywhere. Maybe in Tamil Nadu it's more advanced than in Samburu, where we work, because there the culture is still more intact, but it will happen there as well. And it's funny that foreigners, which are sort of exotic species, if you want, because we are an exotic species there, are reintroducing people to their ancestral forests and culture. But that's what actually happens,
So you're helping prevent acculturation.
Exactly. By connecting people to their natural environment, to their original natural environment, by supporting their ability to live where they are, instead of migrating to an urban.
That urbanization is really what just kills the culture.
Exactly.
In 2 or 3 generations, you've lost all the history, all the language, all
Yeah.
Culture.
We had a discussion now with the project director in our project director in Kenya, whether to study Swahili or to study Samburu. What language should we study? And I said, you should study Samburu, because Samburu would be lost. Swahili would survive. It's the national language spoken by so many people. The Samburu language would disappear, and we should encourage people to speak it and to keep it. It's so rich in their culture. The language is the face of the culture. And
Yes, could you tell us what challenges do you face in the reforestation process?
The main challenge is protection of the trees. I mean, people have to understand the importance of the trees in order to protect them. And in the past, we were not as good in communicating the importance of the trees and doing all this sensitization, all this educational stuff that is needed in order for people to protect the trees effectively. Now, we understand that the educational part of the tree planting is much more important than all the technical part. And we invest a lot of time in interacting with people, having barazas with people, like community meetings, going to public places. Even we talk at weddings about our project. They allow us in schools, in churches, anywhere that people congregate. We try to interact with them about the project and explain the value and hear their opinions and hear their concerns and have a dialogue with them about the project. So the main challenge is really changing people's mindset so that they can protect the trees. And that's where most of the effort now is focused. People think that planting trees is simply putting them in the ground. It's not what we were. Yeah.
I'd love to know about the birth of this idea. Were you just having breakfast with your wife today and you said, let's back up and do this? How did it come to be?
Breakfast idea. very long process of change in life. It wasn't something that happened in a moment. It was really opening up to different values, to different ways we could live, to different things we could invest ourselves in. We were basically living a very Western way of life, like most of you. And at one point, both of us, although we didn't talk about it much, felt that we're not really satisfied with our life. We're doing what has to be done. We're making the money and building a house and all this, but not really deeply satisfied. And then we visited different places and started talking about it with each other, and then saw that we actually need a change. In order to gain this spirit of creativity and that we have in us, but it was not finding its outlet in the way of life that we've been living. And eventually we moved to India and joined Oracle and started Sadhana Forest. And there was a point that we had to choose whether we are really leaving the Western world behind in a way and devoting our life to this purpose and taking a huge risk, because we had about $63,000 at that time. That's what we sort of accumulated. And we decided to spend it all in Sadhana Forest on land that doesn't even belong to us. It belongs to the Oracle Foundation. And people told us, you are absolutely crazy, clinically. You've gone out of your mind to do something like this. And we said, maybe, but that's what we want to do, and that's what we'll do, and we've done it, and I don't think we ever regretted it. We're facing huge challenges. We had a cyclone that wrecked like half of Sadhana Forest in India a year and a half ago, and 2 years and a half ago already. And really moments of huge desperation and hardship, but we never regretted this decision, and I hope that we never will. That we will always be going forward with a lot of power and implementing this more and more. And it became the cause of our lives, to plant trees. And luckily we're both in it together, and to plant trees and to serve people in different ways. Our volunteers, helping them to grow in life, and our neighbors by planting trees with them and supporting their food security. And so it's very satisfying. Not easy, but very satisfying. Yeah.
Aviram, could you discuss any safety or security issues in different venues, locations?
Generally, we didn't have a lot of safety issues over the past 10 years. We host so many people. Always, there's a chance that something will happen. And unfortunately, a few years ago, one of our volunteers was raped. This had happened once. It was not in the place, it was somewhere else. She was jogging somewhere away from Sadhana Forest, and we told her not to do it because it's not a safe area, and not in the dark, but she has done it, and she was raped. That was really the only incident, serious incident that happened. But as one out of many thousands of volunteers that have passed by and the visitors. It was very unfortunate, but it's something that could happen everywhere. It's not a specific risk, to be in our place. So until now, we felt quite safe. Especially if you take into consideration that some of the places we work in are very remote and with a very poor population. The relationship with the local population is just fantastic. And that provides a lot of safety and security. Because local people will never hurt us. Even the man that has done this terrible thing, he was not from the area. The relationship is very protective. The local people want us to be there, so they keep us safe. And that's our main safety measure. I think you want to
just, what was your training? It wasn't in agriculture?
No, not at all. Not at all. It was in clinical psychology, and then I switched to the business world and then a medical device company. So nothing to do
So
with
successful with this, but
yeah.
not.
But I deal with a lot of people. So in a way, my training was not for nothing.
Yeah, it all translates to something. I was just wondering how you
Yeah.
make that
And
transition.
what I learned in psychology is to observe very carefully. And that's very much needed when you work with trees and with nature. You need to observe and to learn. People think, they need a lot of courses, and actually you need to go to your garden every day or to the forest and just see what's going on there. Deeply look at what's going on there, and you'll learn more than in any course. And that's how we have learned. We have never taken courses. We have, taken courses from our piece of land, basically.
Are there any bees that you've seen fly? Do they fly around on your two locations? Pollinate and all that kind of stuff?
So in India we have now a lot of bees of a few species. In Haiti there are some bees. In Kenya I haven't observed bees yet, but they will come, I'm sure. Once conditions are better, they will definitely come and pollinate. And we're doing some efforts to introduce bees, not for honey because we're vegans, but for pollination. So we put some structures that are supposed to attract bees. They don't really work that well, but bees are coming.
Good. The other one, are we allowed to send, if we thought we had some seeds that were really good, are we allowed to send them to you in the mail?
So we try to use indigenous seeds to our area. So if you know something that grows here, that also grows there, and is indigenous, and you want to share with us, I'm sure we can find a legal way to do it. We have imported seeds in the past, but we don't do it just taking it in a suitcase.
Right.
We do it through the formal authorities, through the agriculture department, we get a license, and we've done this before.
So how do you produce in a mass natural fertilizer with clean and
Okay, so we grow, there's a lot of need for nitrogen in our soil. So we grow plants that are very rich in nitrogen fixers, which are very fast growing, like pioneer plants. And we chop them, we chop the leaves, we put them in a blender, a regular blender that you use in your kitchen, with some water, and we make a chutney, and we just give it to the children. As simple as that.
But if you had to train farmers around them, if they had to use it, how would you advise them to do it?
They could do the same thing. Basically, they could grow a small piece of pioneer plant and and some farmers are doing this, and they could use animal manure. We don't have animals because we're vegan, so we don't have the animal manure, so we produce, other things to compensate for that.
Does your daughter go to oral school?
I'm sorry?
Does your daughter go to oral school?
My daughter has been unschooled until 3 weeks ago. She's 13 years old, and she never went to school. She went to school for the first time 3 weeks ago to last school in Oregon. Yeah, so that has been her first experience, and she's actually very happy. She chose to go to school. We never told her to go or anything like that, but she chose to go, and she's very happy there. Yeah, that's a new experience for us having a child in school.
What did you observe before she went to school? How did she learn? Just through the nature with you, or did she show any other interest other than?
Yeah, she lives in a very, very diverse environment. She's been in Haiti, she's been in Kenya, she's met people from, I think, probably more than 100 countries of her life, or more than that, and so she has an ideal, and the small one as well. I have two daughters. They have an ideal environment for learning. So any question that they have, we know somebody that knows the answer. We know so many people. So I'll give you an example. When my daughter was very small, she had, I think, 5 or something, and she said, "Why does the moon rise every day in a different hour?" And I must admit, explain it. You know, with all the schooling that I had for so many years, I couldn't properly sit and explain it. So we just went over lunch in Sadhana Forest and asked, anyone here knows why does the moon rise in another hour? And a guy said, yeah, I studied astronomy. I can explain this to you. So we said, okay, let's wait for the night. And until it's dark. And then he took a tennis ball, which was the sun, I think. And no, it was the moon, and a flashlight, and the globe. And we did the whole exercise, and the first time I understood it. And also my daughter understood it, so it was pretty good. Yeah, and that's the way she learns all the time. Yeah.
About, I'm wondering what your very, very best day doing this work was, what your worst day doing this work was, and how you make it through the worst day.
The worst day is not a problem to answer. The thing about the best day, there have been so many good days, really, so many good days, but maybe a recent one that was very, very good was we went to visit the Maniata, a little homestead in Samburu where we've planted 2 weeks before. And I don't talk Samburu and I don't understand Samburu. And the lady there was so thankful that we've planted the tree, and the tree has grown so much in those 2 weeks, it was like booming. And she was so happy. And at one point, she was trying to tell me how happy she was, and she didn't know what to do. So she went to her husband, and she took this off his neck, and she gave me this, and I felt, wow, this is worth everything that I've gone through in those 10 years. You know, it was such a wonderful feeling just to feel that what we're doing is accepted and loved, and that we're accepted as part of the Samburu community so deeply, and so that's a very beautiful day that I had just recently, just a month and a half ago. And I think the worst day was after Cyclone Tani. We had a very strong cyclone that destructed half of the structures, almost half of the structures of Sadhana Forest. I was not there at the time. My daughters and wife were there, but I was traveling in the west coast in Kerala, and I came back immediately when I heard what happened. I flew back to home, and when I came, I saw, you know, dozens of structures on the ground, everything destructed, you know, and I thought, you know, if I have it in me to continue, you know, to go over this and to continue, and I wasn't really sure, you know. But then I looked at all the volunteers. There were 104 volunteers at Sadhana Forest on that day of the cyclone, and none of them was thinking about closing the place. I was the only one. So I said, you know, I'm responsible for so many people. We have to make this happen. And we just went to work and rebuilt the place. But it was a very difficult moment. It was a very difficult moment. And there were a few of those. Yeah. There's a lot of stress involved in our work because we push the limit. You know, when we push the limit, just a week ago, you know, and we ran out of money in Kenya, and they phoned me and said, you know, we don't have any money. We're borrowing money from the volunteers to pay the security guards, you know, and all this, and you know, you have to cope with this and to find solutions, and it's not always easy to find on the spot, you know. But those moments make it happen. So it's a balance.
I'd really just like to say thank you so much for what you do, the passion that you bring into this room, and the love that you put into trying to preserve and protect Mother Earth.
Anybody else that wants to say something? I think we have to vacate this hall in 5 minutes. So if somebody wants to continue talking, to ask questions, or to know anything, we could continue in a place called...
It is called the Blue Fire Grill in the Marriott West Hotel on this campus, very close by.
So if anyone wants to keep interacting and know more, I'll be very happy to spend more time with you. Unfortunately, I'm moving I'm leaving tomorrow morning, so this is sort of the last chance to drive, but I have a strong feeling that I'll be back here. Yeah, I hope to next time to be able to also share with you some practical stuff, some practical knowledge, and to really maybe I don't know if that's possible, but to find a place where we could do a real workshop. And there's also one more thing that I'm very passionate about is working with entrepreneurs. So if anybody of you or anybody you know has an idea that they would like to manifest and they want support from someone who's sort of a serial entrepreneur, I would be very happy to share my input with them and to interact with them around their idea. And I've done this with many people, and it's always great fun for me and sometimes even outside. So